What's going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to talk to you about Fisker. So I did do this video about 7 days ago. I went over a lot of the data points as well as, given the circumstances and new updates at the time, they had 2 months left of liquidity. Since this video, there's been a hell of a lot of things that has happened. So I wanted to give you an update to this video and realistically how much in kind of liquidity they do have and what might be coming next. Before we get into any of that, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So based off of this 8K that came out on March the 18th, it did indicate that they had 120.9 million in cash equivalents and short-term investments, as well as restricted cash. I already crossed that off from a previous video, but obviously I don't like to count restricted cash. And so ultimately that did allude to about 89.1 million in cash and cash equivalents. So all in all, this is a good benchmark because it is as of March 15th. So normally we don't get those periodic updates. Since this video, the 2024 notes have been quashed due to their negotiations falling through. And of course, they also did get delisted, which did cause a default for the 2025 and 2026 notes. So for Fisker, things got from bad to worse to absolutely horrific, and I don't know if there's something below that, but Fisker has gone through all the spectrums in like a 2 or 3 day span. So things are very interesting. So a lot of people are kind of up in the air, not really knowing what is coming next for Fisker. So again, like I said, based on March the 15th, they have 89 million in cash and cash equivalents. Based off of this, they are burning through about 305.8 million from operations every single quarter. And yes, I know some of you might be saying, well, hold on, they halted production. That's going to offset some of that. Yes, you are correct as far as that goes, but expenses probably from September up until the present has probably went up tenfold as well. So probably the cutting from production is going to be offsetted, kind of it'll balance itself out for the most part. So it is fair to assume just to use the 305.8 million as a benchmark still. And a couple of things, since last week, tail end, they did do that fire sale news. So they're trying to blow through this $500 million in inventory, which I think is logically what any trustee would do. And so I'm bringing up trustees because based off of the previous news that did state that the 2025 and 2026 notes were in default, that they didn't have sufficient amount of cash to pay those off, and that most likely they could be looking at restructuring, which technically, like I've signaled, is under the bankruptcy aspect, so Chapter 11. So with that recent news, it is fair to assume now that they have no cash, and probably they were counting restricted cash, so all of this is gone, because they did say that they don't have cash to pay off those notes, because I think those notes are in the hundreds of millions. So when it comes down to this, so let's say with this fire sale kicking in, I know a lot of you might be optimistic and say, hey, they're going to sell out 100%. I kind of disagree, only because there's a lot of bad reviews about the Fisker. So despite even the discount, I've seen nobody on social media say, hey, you know what? I'm buying one of those right now. So maybe about 30% of their inventory, so that'll result in about 120 to maybe 150 million, just to be optimistic, in revenue coming in. So again, factoring in how much they're burning through, them owing the note holders, the 150 million from the inventory has already been spoken for. So they essentially have no liquidity, which is absolutely probably the worst scenario that is going to be happening. Of course, none of this is factoring in if there's a partnership announcement, because that could save the day or at least help them temporarily. But again, I'm assuming that there is none because Fisker's been silent. They could have easily helped this sell-off, this downtrend, by saying, hey, you know what? We're working with this individual or trying to negotiate still. So Fisker's done absolutely nothing as far as that goes. And so when it comes down to Fisker right now, they most likely are working with their trustee on the whole restructuring. So Chapter 11, like I've signaled, under the bankruptcy aspect. So they're going to be working with the note holders, the 2025 and 2026 ones, because like I've signaled in a couple videos ago, like in order for bankruptcy to occur, there's either voluntary, that's if Fisker says, hey, you know what, we are bankrupt, we're going to go that route, or court driven. So this is where what is coming next. There's a lot of grayness, a lot of different scenarios, so stick with me because there's a lot of different things that could happen. So Fisker has right now this 89 million, because it doesn't say that they're paying off the note holders just yet, because Fisker could feel that it's justified to keep this 89 million in-house, like keep it on their books, and somehow still managed to survive with that and the money from the inventory, that fire sale thing. So ultimately, yeah, that could work, but you're going to piss off the note holders by not paying them for what you have. So again, meaning they can actually bring Fisker to bankruptcy. So bankruptcy, chapter 7. Under the restructuring, that is chapter 11. So essentially, it is in Fisker's best interest to work with those note holders and other creditors to say, hey, you know what? Let's figure something out. Can you give me a more advantageous deal? Because when it comes down to bankruptcy, a lot of creditors know that if a company goes through that route, you're going to get like 10 cents on the dollar at best. Shareholders are going to get virtually nothing, like nothing at all. And so when it comes down to those note holders, they might be more inclined to kind of work with Fisker and on those defaults. So find something that works for everyone. Because if Fisker is able to somehow rectify those defaults and keep those still in good standing, well, then they could use this 89 million and as well roughly about that 150 million from the actual inventory right here, and they could survive a good, similar to what I mentioned, about 2 months. Of course, there's a lot of still situations that need to occur from that stage, because it might have not been in Fisker's best interest to stop production, because by continuing production, they could still kind of raise inventory and hopefully keep revenue coming in after this 2 months. Because let's say they sell out of this inventory, then what? They're going to start up on their production again, which has a huge, immense amount of costs associated to that in among itself. It's just not a good scenario for Fisker. So realistically, even though I did do a video, it was a different circumstance, but I said that they had 2 months left. I do feel, assuming that the creditors, the note holders are going to be satisfied and that's going to be in good standing, Fisker will still have 2 months left of liquidity. That's factoring in the fire sale and as well the cash they do have on hand. One obviously variable that I've not really talked on is they could have sold more than 30%. So let's say they sell 60%, then yes, they'll be in better standing. They'll push them to like maybe 4 months, 3.5 months, somewhere around there. But regardless, Fisker does need to be also working to have a partnership, because that Nissan deal, 400 million assumed, that would have really helped Fisker dramatically. So yes, there's just a lot of grayness that's happening with Fisker, and no doubtably the stock is going to be going like crazy. I did do a video on Thursday where even like roughly around here I said, you know what, abnormally, I don't know why, but shorts are feeling the need to kind of return something. Maybe it was just over the long weekend, a lot could happen over that time period, so maybe that is one aspect why they were returning some shares up until here. But obviously, as you can kind of see, about 20 minutes after that, it just sold off like crazy. So there's going to be a lot of volatility with Fisker, so just be prepared for that. If, in my opinion, they do say that they are actually restructuring and that the note holders are satisfied, I feel like the stock will go up. Will it squeeze? Probably not. You do get a lot of these individuals out here, and oddly, they have 2,000 followers, but it just says that Fisker will most definitely see a massive short squeeze as Fisker gets more than 10 times the liquidity of his market cap from this fire sale. Like, I feel like this individual, and alongside many others, just do not know anything. And hopefully you guys do appreciate on this channel, I like to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. Sometimes it sucks to hear the ugly, and when a company goes down, it goes down fast. So there's been quite a lot of ugly to talk on, but I could easily just say, hey, you know what, guys? Fisker is going to have a massive short squeeze. It's going to $5 on Monday. Buy in now. I could easily do that, but I don't want to be coming off as trash like this. So make sure you guys do your own due diligence, because there's just a lot of people that absolutely know nothing about the stock market, but yet are trying to give advice. So Fisker definitely is a very risky play still right now. Like I said, with a company, given the circumstances of having only 2 months of liquidity available, is not, that's a whole different level of risk, right? So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Give yourself a shout out. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? What have you been doing with Fisker? One final thing I just wanted to share with you, take advantage of this new promo. Simply sign up for an account with 𝗪𝗧𝗧𝗛, throw $100 at it, and they give you 7 fractional shares of the Mag 7. So you can't go wrong with that. Take advantage of this. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.